And welcome back, everyone, to Box Office Report. Today, on the 7th of December, 2025. I didn't get the box office right this week because I didn't consider Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't think I considered it. Well, maybe I did. I'm trying to remember. Did I consider it? You know, I can't remember what I did for the box office last week. But anyway, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 debuts with $63 million, which is good, though not as large as the first one opened up on. Zootopia 2 makes $43 million this following week, dropping almost 60%, but there's a reason for that. Wicked for Good dropped at 72.9% to make $16.7 million this week. Jujutsu Kaisen Execution debuted with $10.1 million domestically. And Now You See Me, Now You Don't made our $3.5 million for the number 5 spot, which is a huge departure from the other spots. And oh man, I was trying to clean these, and then like if you, any of my glasses wearing brothers and sisters out there, you know what it's like when you're trying to clean your glasses, you get a smudge, then you get you're like, I got it, and then there's still a smudge there. It's like so annoying. Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Look, my review for that is out, both out of the theater and full. I did not go into full spoilers, but needless to say, I did not like the movie. It is actually quite bad. It's not like the worst thing I've ever seen. I haven't seen a lot of bad movies this year, and I'm getting Rotten Tomatoes up right now, so just so I have that as a reference. I haven't seen a lot of bad movies this year, so it is at least in the conversation of worst movies I have seen this year. But it is, and I don't care about your big Rotten Tomatoes with your discovering something fresh app, whatever. Go away. Thank you. I just want the critical reception on this film. I know for a fact that first Five Nights at Freddy's didn't have a really high audience rating, really high critical rating, and a solid audience rating. But you know what? It was a godsend. In fact, hold on. Five Nights at Freddy's. Let's actually get the original up here right now. I saw what the newest one had, so I'll remember. Oh, God, I hate when something is just being slow. For whatever reason, Rotten Tomatoes, of all the sites I will go to for references, information when I'm doing this, is among the slowest sites to load. I was about to say slights. Lowest sites to load. God, it is so frustrating sometimes. The trials and tribulations of being a mild-mannered man. Maybe if I actually put Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's. There we go. Okay. Five Nights at Freddy's. Let's find that, shall we? What the original opened up on. I know it did not have a very good critical reception, but the audience score clearly worked in its favor. The original Five Nights at Freddy's went on to make almost $300 million. Now, I don't believe it quite got there. I think it ended like at 260 or 280, somewhere in that range. Okay, the original Five Nights at Freddy's had a 33% from the critics. A full third of the critics liked it. And granted, these are the people who obviously get paid to review movies, but still, they're movie fans. You don't go into that line of work unless you're a movie fan. Which is why people get all pissed off about the critical consensus. It's like, well, they're just giving their opinions. Mind you, they see so many movies that I do think they sometimes fall into mindsets that they maybe aren't being fair about. But yeah, the original movie also had 86% from the audience score verified. So right now, the new one holds at 88% from the audience score. So more of the audience, barely, and that might go up or down, like this film than the other one, or the first one. But less than, it dropped nearly 2/3, nearly 66% of the critics liked it less this time around. And I can understand it. I didn't love the first Five Nights at Freddy's, but I thought it was okay. I didn't play the game at all. So I'm like, all right, I'm going in this knowing the base concept of the game and the story. But that's the problem. The whole it's a survival game. There's no real story to it. So they have to mold the story. Granted, there is lore and stuff for later character, like the marionette is a character that appears in this movie, and there is lore behind her and all that. But yeah, and I mentioned it before in my review, but to the people who are like comment to other people who do reviews, it's like, is this rage bait? You know the marionettes, that's the origin of the marionette in the movie, right? It's like, do you even see any movies? Those are movie tropes. Oh my God, a guy was an asshole. This and that. I'm like, yeah, you're nowhere near as clever as you think you are when you make those comments. Because you are under the general assumption for the marionette thing that everyone knows the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's, and that's a load of shit. You're also under the general assumption that these tropes always exist in the state they are. You can have these tropes, you can just do them well. They're not well done tropes in this movie. They are not well written. The script is terrible for this movie. I digress though. That's my review for it is up. You can watch it. But let's not mince words. It still did very well on an opening weekend. It made 109 million worldwide, 63 million domestically against and this is a bit of an in-between. We don't have the exact number. It's stated to be somewhere between 37 and $51 million on the budget. So you do the math real quick. No, it was like 36 or something like that. Yeah, I think it was 36. So it's like 87. So you do the math average out. Let's just say on the high end, 44 million for the budget. I think that's reasonable. It's a little bit more expensive than the original. Makes sense. You put a little bit more money in. In terms of the marketing, I mean, the marketing wasn't like super heavy for this film. Keep in mind, I didn't see much outside of the trailers for it. But hold on, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 marketing budget. Very rarely do they actually give the marketing budget until well after the fact. Marketing budget. Let's find this out, shall we? Budget. Yeah, crap, I hate that. Stupid keyboard. Let's see here. What do we got here? Five Nights at Freddy's 2 has a reported production budget of $36 million, but again, I've also seen apparently up to like 50, which is a significant increase from this 20 million. I'm looking for a marketing budget here. Anything at all? Or am I gonna have to put a whole estimator into play? Yeah, it's not giving me anything on the marketing. So if I had to guess, yeah, I'd be looking at about an equal amount for the marketing budget. So we're looking at probably about 84 million total, which really just means this film has to hit 124, roughly? No, 126. 126, and it makes its money back. Which, look, it's going to do that pretty much by the end of next week. Luckily, there's really no strong competition coming out for the box office this coming week. You got that new one coming out called Ella McKay, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Little Trouble Girls, Scarlet. Most of those are all just mild releases. Yeah, there's no strong releases this week, so Five Nights at Freddy's could actually have clean up very nicely this weekend. So let's see here and go back here. But yeah, I mean, why did it do so well? Well, I mean, because it is still a very well-liked IP. It was a fun, if not flawed, first film. So it's delivering on things people like. It is a well-liked franchise. I'm not saying it's a billion-dollar IP or anything like that. I mean, Minecraft clearly is. It nearly made $1 billion. Mario is. Those are IPs that, I don't know a huge amount about. Like, I don't follow the lore that much. Mario a bit more because I do verses with Mario too. But but they're actually perfect examples of movies where so many people knew them that know the IP that it's popular enough that it would make $1 billion, and B, you don't need really to know a lot of lore to make $1 billion. You just need to appeal to the mass audience. This is why sticking completely to a source material does not work. You need adaptation. I mean, you want an example of that? I go to a movie that I really love, the Zack Snyder's Watchmen. I do. I really love that film. It is near beat for beat the graphic novel, except for the ending, which honestly is a better ending than what you got in the book, a graphic novel. But it did not make a lot of money. Now, granted, there's other reasons for that too: the theme, tone, director. If you want to get specific. But overall, it's still something that's important. The reason that adaptation exists, because you're not trying to appease the fans. You want to appease the fans as well, but the fans are not where the money comes from. Never, honestly. Even if you look at, say, Avengers: Infinity War, the fans of comic books are not what make that film a $2.8 billion film. They're just not. It's the layman, it's the average moviegoer who's grown to really love these movies and, the whole MCU and all that made it a $2.7 billion film, and for a temporary moment in time, the highest grossing film of all time. So you definitely got to be careful when you're trying to adapt sources. Still leave stuff in there for the fans, absolutely. Adapt, that's why it's called adaptation. It's got to be adapted for all audiences. But with all that said, it did not open as high as the first movie did. And I'm really not surprised. It's frankly far more ridiculous than the first movie. The first movie, the plot's simple. There's a serial killer killed these kids, apparently that sealed their bodies in these in these animatronics, and their spirits haunt the animatronics. Simple. And oh yeah, and now granted, now the girl befriends them. Her brother's the night guard there, so it's all well and good. But still, this one gets, even by Five Nights at Freddy's standards, which again I don't know much, but even by the standards of the first film, which we would go off of, this is just first off, it's a bad script. The suspension of disbelief in the first act, not even act, that first scene of the movie, I'm just going like, this is not how people would act. I don't care if it's the 80s. I don't care if you're coked up, which no one clearly is, by the way. I want to be very clear about that. Don't use the coke excuse. Maybe prescription drugs. But not coke excuse. None of those guys were coked up. But like there's no way that would have gone down that way. Not an ounce of logic in a movie with spirits possessing animatronics. But you get my point. So yeah, it is a weaker film than the first one. It is. There's still some fun to be had. Sure, there are things I liked in the film, but my negatives far outweigh the things I liked. And I think that's going to kind of probably show in the box office. Like I said, it's got a full free week coming up before Avatar, SpongeBob come out. We got The Housemaid comes out that week too. We got a lot of movies coming out that week. In fact, hold on, let me get that up real quick. Let's see here now. So let's see, it's the week of the 19th I want to know about, okay, so you got The Housemaid, you got, I don't know what Resurrection is. Marty Supreme must be getting a limited release, because I know it's being wide released on Christmas. Okay, so 19th, there we go. 19th, SpongeBob, Avatar, obviously, The Housemaid, got that new, is it from, Angel Studios, based on David and Goliath animated film. Marty Supreme is getting a limited release. Yeah, like this, geez, man, there's a lot coming out. A lot of big, high-profile stuff coming out. It's going to be a wild week. I want to actually see The Housemaid, too. I do want to see it. I've never read the book, so I'll be in it. I'm just watching, okay, what's the twist? I'm guessing they must have known each other at some point. One's getting revenge for the other. Clearly, one of them is psychotic on some level. Who knows? We'll find out. But I like Amanda Seyfried, and I am growing to like Sydney Sweeney. I never hated Sydney Sweeney, but I've seen her in things where I'm like, no, I like Sydney Sweeney. Take out the fact she's attractive. I like Sydney Sweeney. That whole American Jeans controversy was such bull. I'm gonna lie. It was really it's people making a lot of bull BS about nothing. But I don't give a shit. Did she say she's going to murder puppies? Did she say something political in a gross way or in a terrible way? No. So, can we just shut up about that? Anyway, I digress. Zootopia 2 made $43 million, dropping $57 million in its second week, 57.1% in its second week. Now, first of all, this thing will be crossing $1 billion this week, guaranteed. It's not right now $915 million, which A, tells me it's going to hit $1 billion this week, guaranteed, and B, it's telling me that this thing's going to make more than the original, because the original Zootopia is in the top, well, it's in the $1 billion club. The original Zootopia is in the $1 billion club, but it's in the very low end of the $1 billion club. It is around, if you give me just 1 second here, because I believe right now it's the top, 60 films? 58 films of all time are in the $1 billion club. Zootopia, the original, is only at $1,025 million. It's only the 54th highest grossing film. As it stands right now, Zootopia 2 is currently the 77th highest grossing film. So, yeah, I have no doubt in my mind the film is going to make $1 billion. Guaranteed. But you'll notice the drop-off from last week. It's 57.1%. Let's get the weekend here. It's 57.1%. That's not a small drop-off. It's not. So what gives? Well, the problem is it actually suffers the same problem that Moana 2 suffered last year. Moana 2 had an even bigger weekend than this. It had like $150 million Thanksgiving weekend, like 100 and some odd million regular weekend, but then it dropped insane. Like it had insane, like 60 some odd percent drop, or like close to 70. But it had some good legs afterwards. Now, why is that? Well, it's because that is the catch-22 of opening on a holiday. Because the holiday rush is happening, people are there. Most people stay through Thanksgiving throughout like the weekend because it just doesn't make sense to like come up from, I don't know, just name a state, Georgia to Massachusetts where I live to be with the family and then just leave the next day. No, you stay at least the whole weekend. So what are you going to do? You take the kids out, take the family out to go see a movie. And if it's good, yeah, it'll get repeat viewing. But that's the problem. You're getting this extra massive influx from the holiday season and the holiday rush. So what is going on? So that's what's going on when you get these bigger drop-offs. If you can see a film open on a Thanksgiving or Christmas Day weekend, and frankly, just see it drop less than 50%, on God, you got a winner there. On God. As it stands, we have a winner here. Zootopia 2 right now, I think, if I remember correctly, the budget is around $200 million-ish for this one, which makes sense. They put a lot of money into Pixar stuff. I don't remember exactly what the marketing budget was, but I think it's anywhere between 100 and 150 million. I want to say it's around 100. But even if I rounded it up to 150 million, okay, you're looking at a film, 150 million. You're looking at a film that when you add it up is 350, needs to make, roughly speaking, 525 to break even. Well, the film made that easy. So, in fact, if a film ended here, wouldn't be as profitable as the first movie or successful as the first movie, but it'd be still a movie that in the long haul made well over $250 million profit. And it's not even close to being done. So, I mean, it's going to get a nice bump come Christmas. Yeah, it's going to have to compete with Avatar, but Avatar is kind of a unique case in any era. In any case, because it can kind of open against near any movie and be fine, unless it's something like a Star Wars or a Marvel film. Those are about the only films you can't open the film against, that type of film against, and it would be fine. Anything else, though, there's no worries. So yeah, Zootopia 2 is definitely going to be hitting the $1 billion club, almost certainly surpassing the last film in the series. Maybe will even become the highest grossing film of the year, say until Avatar comes out. Because, I mean, Lilo and Stitch is the current highest grossing film of the year. Niza 2 does not count. I always got to say that because I know I'm going to get someone who brings that up. It's at 137.9, might as well just say $38 million. And by the way, it's weird as hell, because if you go to the in fact, let me do this right now, real quick here. If I go to worldwide right now, Niza 2 is stated to be at $1.9 billion worldwide. But if you go to lifetime grosses, it says it's at $2.1 billion, which is a load of shit. This tells you how much of a load of shit this number is on either front. Because either clearly someone's A, not paying attention to make those numbers the same, but B, like, you can't be a sovereign movie-going country. That, what I mean by that is you can't have your own measurement of ranking or grossing movies by your own measure that differs from the entirety of the rest of the movie-going world, and then release one of your own movies and say, oh yeah, it made nearly $2 billion. You don't get to do that. That's just not how that works. No, anyone who actually believes that is a legit number, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. I can't convince you about anything at that point. So, sorry. Okay, anyway, moving on. Wicked for Good dropped under 72.9%. Oof. Here's the thing. Wicked for Good still had an insanely good opening weekend. It opened on $147 million. And because of the Thanksgiving weekend, it actually had a fairly good second weekend, all things considered, at 58% drop, $61 million. Great second weekend. Dropping 72% the third weekend? So the only thing I can guess on this is the same thing for Zootopia. That second weekend also fell within Thanksgiving. So you're going to have the family rushes again. And the first weekend was a big hit. Okay, great. But still, like, this implies then that without the Thanksgiving weekend, that drop off probably would have been actually much larger at around, it probably would have been like 40 million or something like that is what it would have been on, which means it probably would have been dropping like close to 70%. Ugh. As it stands, it's now kind of unfortunately tapering out on its long view forecast. Could it still hit 500 million? It could. Isn't it profitable at this point, by the way? Yeah, I believe it is profitable based on the numbers we have. I believe it's actually made on 150 million with only 100 million in marketing. They actually backed off a little bit in this one, apparently. So that means it had to hit 375, which it did. The movie's profitable. That's good. It's clearly not making anywhere near as much as the first one, and I'll be honest, I can see why. It's not as good as the first one. It's not. It's the first act of the film is clunky and not well paced. It's not until we get to the whole stuff with her and her sister that I think the film actually starts to find its legs. And then especially once we get to the wonderful bit, that's where like the movie finally gets its rhythm going at last. But I would say once she goes to Munchkin to meet her sister, and basically the birth of the Tin Man, I'd say that's where the film kind of finds its stride finally. But the first third quarter of the film, it's a little rough, not gonna lie. So yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen execute. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't suck. Yeah, but is it like the end of the world? No, it's still gonna make money on the film. It's still getting a lot of acclaim. I enjoyed it, so it's not like it's the end of the world. Jujutsu Kaisen execution. Anime's having a good year. Even this is being the weakest one with 40 million. Still is good. I mean, these films aren't made on a huge budget, so it's still good to see. Now You See Me, Now You Don't, $3.5 million. It's currently at a worldwide total of $209 million, which, remember correctly, the film's made on about 90 million, I think, give or take. You got to assume probably about 50 million marketing, give or take, which means the film's going to break even. That's something. It's going to be the lowest grossing of the three, that's for certain. And I didn't get a chance to go out and see it, unfortunately. I do enjoy the franchise. It's not like they're amazing, but they're fun. But honestly, from what I could tell, like it's not a franchise that brings in the big bucks anyway. I was amazed, honestly, to decide. Again, I think I did the math on it. This one is far or too late to have been relevant at this point. But hey, let me put it this way. It's going to be a needed win for Lionsgate this year. Lionsgate is among those studios that just has not been doing well financially from a movie perspective for the last few years, unfortunately. The last big hit they had was John Wick Chapter 4. Think about that. And that film made $440 million, but that was the last big hit they had. And they owned a Hunger Game franchise, and that one didn't even hit $350 million, that last one. So, yeah. Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair, hey, was able to make $3.2 million. Problem is, that's 4.5 hours worth of film, folks. I don't know if I could do that. I barely made it through the Snyder Cut while I was sitting in my own home. So, yeah. Yeah, Eternity made her 2.7 million. I have a review for this up. You can watch that. I had a really nice time with this film. It really felt a lot like what that Big Bold Beautiful Journey was kind of trying to be. At least in the idea of love. What does it mean? Trust. What would you do if you could change things? If the offer was there, like option was there. Like it's not a one-to-one. Obviously, one's dealing with the afterlife. And again, if you stop and think about the rules of this world for too long, the rules of this afterlife, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. But it's like, you could do that for any movie, really. I don't expect this movie to be grossing top dollar or anything like that, but hey, it was a fun little film. Very charming, and I do enjoy that. That was such a beautiful ending. Last 5 minutes of that film really made me go, my man, yeah. Hamnet, $2.3 million. This apparently is one of the big Oscar frontrunners this year. I'll be honest too. I'm probably not seeing it. I'm probably taking a week off because there's just no major releases coming out. I could go see Hamnet. It is in my local theater. I am probably not going to. So yeah. Let's see here now. oh God, another one of these films. Okay. Okay. Durandar. Durandar. Okay. As a star-studded saga inspired by incredible true events set in the gritty criminal vein of Underworld and a backdrop of Indian patriotism featuring action sequences, Shakespearean betrayals, and tradecrafts of espionage. That sounds like a review, not a description. Star-studded cast. I mean, okay, I'm not judging. These films have their place too. Predator Badlands. Every time I go to Predator Badlands, I just feel bad for it. It deserves so much better than what it got. It's not even going to see 200 million, and that pisses me off. It's the highest grossing single Predator film of all the franchise, and it still lost money. I mean, even if they had backed off the budget even 20 million, would it have helped? Sure, but it wouldn't have saved the film, sadly, financially. Because you're still looking at a film that at best would have had to have hit like 190 or something, if not 200 million. It just really sours me when a movie that is good is overall universally approved good too. I keep bringing this up, but that's the thing that boggles me on this. This wasn't like one of those things where I thought it was really good and thought it deserved better. No, the critical approval was like 80 something, and audience approval was like 90 something. It was insane. So like the number of drop offs, the only thing I can think of is the people waiting on Disney Plus. God, that is the biggest killer of movies right now is streaming in that sense. That's why day and date release is a poison. Never do day and date release. But some of that, and I know for a fact because I've spoken to friends of mine who said, "Oh, I'll go see it." And I get going to the movies can be expensive, but you know what? Sneak it. I've said this before, but sneak in freaking candy. You know what? I don't normally say don't do it, but people still do it. Literally, go. My Cinemark is in a mall, and there's a Target. Go in there, get like $5 worth of candy. I mean, candy's even expensive there, but still get like $5 worth of candy or something like that and to just put it in your pocket and walk into the goddamn theater. You save money at the concession. Maybe still get a beverage or something. You can still do that because it's easier to sneak in candy than a beverage. But still, do that if that's the problem. Otherwise, like, is it finding the time? I know ticket prices are expensive, but I don't know. But again, I think that was the other thing. People who saw it enjoyed it and just didn't feel the need to go back. And I admit, I am one of those people who didn't go back the second time. I am admittedly part of the problem in that sense. But it's also because I see so many movies, I don't get a chance to really often go see a movie twice in theaters. It just really sucks. It really sucks. It had the highest opening of any Predator franchise. It's currently the highest grossing of any Predator movie, save Alien vs. Predator. And that's not a true Predator movie. That's a Alien vs. Predator movie. But you know what I mean. You get my drift. It just really blows. It really blows. Here's the problem too. Even if a movie came along, or even if a weekend came along and it got like a $30 million, $40 million, hell, let's even go as high as $50 million boost from an international market that hadn't opened yet, it would still not be profitable. It had to hit, roughly speaking, in the 250 to 270 range to break even. It didn't do that. Now, granted, it didn't like bomb. That I don't think is the right way to put it. And I occasionally see people who like celebrate when a film bombs. Like, why? Why are you celebrating like the? Don't get me wrong. If the film is like shit or something, I can at least kind of get the mentality. Especially like the Michael Bay films. That I can get, like the Transformers films. That I can at least understand. In my head, I can get that. But man, like I don't get the people who want a movie to fail that other people enjoy. Like that is legitimately a good property. Just because the Predator has a different haircut? Or comes from a different part of his planet, so he looks a little different? Like, God, people just want to whine and bitch about so many things. Merrily we roll along. Was this a Christmas song? What is this? Spanning 3 decades, interpreting the relationship between a composer and his 2 lifelong friends, a writer, lyricist, and playwright. This is based on a stage play, isn't it? In fact, if I'm not mistaken, it is a stage play that's put in theaters. I saw a trailer for this when I saw Wake Up Dead Man. That was it, Wake Up Dead Man. All right then, and then we got The Running Man, another case of a film I enjoyed, but I'm not as surprised it didn't do well. You want to talk about something that did bomb? This is a film that did bomb. $65 million against a $110-ish million budget, not including marketing. Oof. I've got over already repeatedly why I thought it failed, so I'm not going to belabor the point. Fackham. It's like walking, just saying Fackham Hall. New Porter forms an odd bond with the youngest daughter as well as UK family, as the Davenport family, headed by Lord and Lady Davenport, deals with the epic disaster of the wedding of their eldest daughter to her caddish cousin. I'm sorry, what was that? With the epic disaster of the wedding of their eldest daughter to her caddish cousin. How many states removed is that cousin? Yeah, because if that cousin is like a first cousin, I get blue bloods for life, but even at that time period, no bueno. If it's like a third cousin twice removed or something like that, well, no, okay, now you're getting into some gray areas. There have been scenarios in life where that's actually happened, where you've actually dated someone, you find out you're related to them distantly, and it's all good. It's not that gross. But once you get to like first or second cousin territory, it's like like it's not good. Everything else though is pretty done. Black Phone 2 is still somehow in theaters, which bogs my mind. Begonia is still somehow in theaters here, which it made $37 million. Good for it. Regretting You is still mostly around at this point. I mean, maybe it's able to cap it off at $90 million. Maybe. But I mean, it's pretty done. Like everything else is pretty much done. So, but yeah, it was an interesting week this week. Still over 100 million at the box office, which is good for the box office. Going into next week, like I said, there's some wide releases, but I don't know what any of them are really going to do. Like seriously, I don't think any of these are going to do amazing. Which begs the question, what's the box office going to look like next week? Okay, this is where it's going to get interesting. I think there is a legitimate possibility Zootopia 2 could be number one again next week. I mean, for it to do that, though, it's going to have to drop at least no less than 50% to do it, which I think is actually possible in the second and the third week. We actually see that smaller drop instead of happen as we go later on into the week. So, or later on to the run, sorry. If I'm going to be conservative, I'm going to say 25 million. Now, the question is, do I think Five Nights at Freddy's drops under that? So if it drops 50%, which I think is very likely, quality-wise and just type of film, I think it's going to drop more than 50%. That would put it, roughly speaking, at 32 million if it dropped 50%. For it to drop 60%, would now put it, roughly speaking, at the 25 million mark. So, and right out the gate, I'm going to tell you right now, this thing probably drops more than 60%. This thing probably drops at least 65%. I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to go the full 70, but I am going to conservatively say 65, which does put it lower than Zootopia 2. So if I am being nice enough to think that Zootopia takes a smaller drop next week, look, I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to say Zootopia 2 reclaims number one spot. Then I'll say it's still Five Nights at Freddy's. I'll then still say it's Wicked for Good. After that, Jujutsu Kaisen is going to take a big drop. Like these anime movies are only really good for that first week. But I still think it might make more than Not Now You See Me in its fifth week at only 3.5. And I mean, yeah, I guess I'll go with Now You See Me. I mean, if it drops another 50-ish%, it's basically dropping down to 1.7 million. Screw it. Let's give it the odds. Let's give it the odds, folks. I'm gonna go Attorney at number 5. probably dead wrong on that one, but whatever. I feel my gut is feeling pretty confident on those first three. But yeah, no, the following weekend, SpongeBob, Avatar, and Houseman, that's going to be the weekend to watch. That's your one last big hurrah weekend of the year. This Christmas weekend notwithstanding. Until then, though, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. What are your thoughts on this week's box office? Why some films did it the way went as well as they did? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. See you next time.